Hey everyone, Miss Wares here. Today in our theory lesson we're going to be talking about 16th notes, how to draw them, how to label them, and how to count them. So go ahead and title your page, 16th notes. And we're going to start off with a little rhythm tree with that top note being our quarter note. We know it gets one beat. In each of our quarter notes, we're going to have 2 eighth notes because 1 eighth note gets half of a beat. So a half plus a half equals 1 beat. So go ahead and draw those next. Remember, our eighth notes get 1 flag, and each one is going to be a half of a beat. In each one of our eighth notes, we're going to have 2 16th notes. Remember, our 16th notes are going to have 2 flags. So total, you're going to have 4 16th notes, and that's going to be 4 in 1 beat total. But each, they're going to get 1/4 of the beat. So make sure you have that table written down. And we're going to talk about how to write them together. So if you remember our eighth notes from last lesson, this is kind of a little bit of a review. Each eighth note gets 1 flag. They can look like this, or we can put them together with what's called a beam. So if I put these 2 eighth notes together and I connect them with this 1 beam on top, then I still know it's going to be eighth notes. So right here underneath, I need you to write eighth notes get 1 beam. And then underline that because it's pretty important. Now when we do our 16th notes, just draw them out. So 2 eighth notes equal 1 beat, but 4 16th notes equals 1 beat. So we need 4 of them. And each one of them is going to have 2 flags, so draw them out. Make sure you have enough space. And now, since our 8th note has 1 beam and it has 1 flag, how many beams do you think our 16th notes are going to have, considering it has 2 flags? If we're going to connect all those flags together, it's going to have, that's right, 2 beams. Let's do it. So we need 4 note heads, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 stems, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then on the top, there's going to be 2 beams. So we connect all of them, that top beam, and then underneath, you're going to draw another beam. Because if you remember, if we have 1 beam, even if there's 4 notes, if there's only 1 beam on top, it's still just eighth notes. Has to have 2 beams in order to be a 16th note. So underneath, you're going to write 16th notes. Oops. Get 2 beams. And then underline that, because it's pretty important when we're writing our 16th notes especially. All right, moving on down. So we're going to draw 1 set of 16th notes. So a set is 4 because I'm talking about just in 1 beat. So we have 4 of them with 2 beams at the top. Now we're going to talk about how we label them. So what do we say when we count 16th notes? Well, that first partial, as always, is going to be our number. So we're going to start, it could be any number just depending on what beat it starts on. For right now, let's just use the number 1. So let's label it with a 1. And this is going to be our downbeat. So draw that arrow on the top showing that it's down. That's when your foot hits the ground. The next partial, it's only a 16th note away. So we have a new letter that we need to use for this. It's going to be E. Now this has nothing to do with the letter on the staff. Like it doesn't matter what note it sounds like. This is just how we count the rhythm. We're going to say E, even if it's on a G or an F. Doesn't matter what note. This is just for the rhythm. Next is going to be our and, because if you remember, if we have eighth notes, and 1 eighth note takes up 2 16th notes, oops, and we labeled our eighth note 1 and. This E would be right here in the center of that eighth note. So that and count is going to line up with our eighth notes. And then that last partial is going to be So we're going to label that with an A, and we're going to say So altogether, these 16th notes right here, we're going to say 1 E and So if this is my tempo, and the and is our upbeat, so let's draw that arrow on there. If I have my foot going down, up, down, up, down, up, and I start counting eighth notes, 1 and 2 and 16th notes are going to be twice as fast. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and Try counting a whole measure of 16th notes with me. Here you go. Here's your foot. Down, up, ready, and go. And 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and So if you noticed, the only thing that changes from beat to beat is the number. The partials, so E and stay exactly the same no matter which beat you're on. So let's do an example in a measure. So scrolling on down. Let's just do a rhythm staff, so we don't need to write all 5 lines. And I'm going to pick a small time signature so we don't have to draw too many 16th notes. Let's do 2, 4, which means there's 2 beats in the measure, quarter note receives the beat. So we're going to draw a full measure of 16th notes. And as you know, there's 4 16th notes in one beat, but in this measure we have 2 beats total. So how many 16th notes, how many little circles and stems am I going to draw if I have 2 beats and each have 4? That's right, 8. So here we go, first beat, 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to connect this one together so that we know that it's just that first beat. Next one, 1, 2, 3, 4. Draw those stems going up. Connect it with 2 beams on the top. It should look something like this. I'll give you a second to catch up. So each beat, you can see there's 2 groupings. Grouping number 1 and grouping number 2. Those are the different beats. So the first one in each one of these groupings is going to be the number, remember? So it's not always going to be 1. This other one is going to be beat 2, right? Because we've already used beat 1. So let's go ahead and start with the first one though. 1. And since we know the partials, remember, E and doesn't change. So it's going to be the same for beat 1 and beat 2. So let's go ahead and write those in, E and Now we've finished that first full beat of 16th notes. Moving on to beat 2, the only thing that changes is the number. So that first partial is going to be labeled with a 2. And then you're going to do E and So your page should look something like this. That is what a full measure of 16th notes in 2/4 time would look like. Now, if I was in 3/4 time, it would be the same, but we would have an extra set of 16th notes because there's 3 beats. If I was in 3/4, same thing, extra set, so it would be 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and Just depends on what time signature you're in. So that's pretty much it for how to label a full beat of 16th notes. Make sure that you're practicing with those letters, and that's all I have for you today. Make sure you upload this to your theory assignment on the page, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.